Something I've been asked a lot recently is, hey Ralph, are you a faggot? But another question I've been asked is, hey Ralph, what are some of your favorite movies of 2014? To which I said, shut up, leave me alone. Of course I haven't seen every movie that came out last year, but I am confident that I've seen most of the good ones. Now there may be some good movies that I've missed, but that's probably because I had no interest in them. So, sorry. I tried to see most of the good ones, and that's why this video is coming out much later than the rest of these fucking best of the year lists. These horrible sellouts.
Guys, what are your top 10 favorite movies of 2014? Whatever they are, comment below, let me know.
Go fuck yourself. I'm going to get in depth when I talk about these movies and explain why I consider them some of the best movies of the year. I'm not just gonna go, this movie, this movie, this movie, and this movie. That's lazy and a waste of time. So since I'm going to get in depth with the movies I like this year, there may be some spoilers. If you want to know the best movies of the year without spoilers, then just click on the description. And if there are some movies on that list that you've seen and also some movies that you haven't seen, I also put the times right next to the title of the movie. So if you haven't seen this movie, then you can just skip right over it. Convenience. Isn't that great? Aren't I so considerate? Life Itself, the documentary about Roger Ebert. Documentaries usually don't make it on my list because to me personally, there's like nothing special about them. Like there are some that are good, don't get me wrong, but it's the kind of thing that really anyone can make. There's nothing that stands out about this documentary in terms of style or music. The thing that makes or breaks a documentary is what it's about. And this movie tells the story of one of the greatest men who ever lived, Roger Ebert, an inspiration to film critics everywhere, including myself. It's one of the most beautiful documentaries I've ever seen. Not because of the style or the director, but because of Roger Ebert as a person. The movie's ultimately about how film saved this guy's life. Especially after he was diagnosed with cancer, watching and reviewing films was the only way he was able to cope. It was his escape, his therapy. I can certainly identify with that. The movie's very touching and emotional, but it's also really freaking funny. The chemistry Siskel and Ebert had was just perfect.
This week on Siskel and Ebert in the movies, the science fiction adventure RoboCop.
Do that again.
Very funny, Donna, and you're my friend. That's the last time you'll ever enter my home.
You know that Virgin speech is a second language?
Roger's first language is, yes, I'll have apple pie with my order. He asked the McDonald's girls if he can have apple pie with their order before they ask him.
And you know what Gene says when he goes into McDonald's? Can I have apple with their order?
They were both unbelievable dicks to each other, but that's what made them special. A really touching and entertaining film. If there's one documentary you have to see this year, it is this one. A Most Violent Year. This is a very good thriller. There isn't much I really have to say about it, and I don't know if I want to say anything about it, because I assume that most of you haven't seen this movie yet. The performances by Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain are great, the movie is very well shot, and of course the story is really good. Beside the movie really being about how the American dream is about backstabbing each other and lying to people, instead of actually being a good person, the movie's pretty straightforward. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just that it's straightforward and there's not much to talk about. So I'd just say, it's good, go see it. The Raid 2. This is one of the best, if not the best action movie I've ever seen. The story is very good, the music is very good, the acting is very good. But what really sets this apart from other action movies is the action. Like I discussed in my Transformers 4 review, the most important part of an action movie is action, and this movie delivers on every level. Every action scene is perfectly choreographed and beautifully shot. I never got confused as to what was happening or who was hitting what. The action is brutal and violent, and every action scene manages to be better than the last one. There is an escalation. The first action scene of the movie is very good, but the one after it is even better, and the one after it is even better. And at some point, these people are using cars to do karate. It is an extremely entertaining experience, and words cannot describe how fantastic the action is in this movie. It is one of the most jaw-dropping experiences I've had in a long time. It's like watching a beautiful ballet of violence, and I highly recommend it. The Lego Movie. One of the greatest children's films I've ever seen. This is a wildly entertaining movie. It's very funny, it has a lot of energy, it has great pacing, and it looks beautiful. Even though it's an animated movie, it looks like it's stop motion, and I love that. It's not just another dumb kids movie either. As a film, it holds up pretty well. This Lego world is essentially a satire on America today. Some people are saying that this movie's anti-capitalist propaganda or some bullshit like that.
Of Hollywood pushing its anti-business message to our kids.
The head of a corporation is an easy target.
Why?
And an easy
Why is the head of a
character to make the villain.
corporation where they hire people, people go to work, they pay their rent, their mortgage, they put their kids through college, they feed their families, they give to charities, they give to churches. Why would the CEO be an easy target? We're talking about very young kids seeing this, being impressionable, and it smacks of hypocrisy, and I don't know, I think there's something wrong with it for sure.
If you feel that you or your children shouldn't be exposed to well-made art because it may make your child question the world that he lives in, then don't show your kids this movie. Just continue to show him or her the same dumb children's films that these studios shit out. Why would you want your kid to think? Just show him strange magic. While you're at it, just throw your kid off a bridge so we don't have another mindless piece of shit overpopulating the planet. Thank you. Not only is there anti-capitalist and pro-capitalist stuff in this movie, there's a lot of anti-religious stuff in this movie. This is a really dense movie, believe it or not, and despite this being a very fun kids movie, underneath, it has a lot of social and political commentary. It's basically a giant fuck you to every parent in the movie theater, while at the same time encouraging kids to be creative and think outside the box. Be unique, be an individual, fuck conformity. I guess to a certain extent this movie's pretty dangerous, especially since it's aimed at children. But I'd rather have movies encourage kids to think and build, rather than the same boring messages these movies always have. Love conquers all. Family and friends are important. Be who you wanna be. Don't be a bully.
Strange Magic is a story about love. The point of the movie is that everyone deserves to be loved.
Eat shit! Nightcrawler. This is just a very straightforward good movie. There's nothing crazy about the director or the score. There isn't any real style to this movie, and I think that's kind of the great thing about it. Usually I complain when a movie lacks any kind of style, but it works kind of perfectly for this movie. There is nothing to distract you from the great story and the amazing performance by Jake Gyllenhaal.
It's a transformative role for him, literally transformative.
I had prepped over 2 months, losing weight and staying up at night and sleeping during the day.
It's basically a dark comedy, and that's exactly how it's shot. There's nothing really disturbing or scary about this movie because I don't think that's what it's going for. It's just meant to be really fun. It's just really fun and really funny while also managing not to be retarded like most comedies. The first 2 acts are really good. The only real tension comes from Jake Gyllenhaal being a crazy person, and you know that eventually he's gonna snap. You know he's up to something, but you don't know exactly what. And then by the 3rd act, it turns into one of the most intense movies of the year. And once again, there's no show-offy style or music to distract from these scenes, which makes it even more intense.
The name of my company is Video Production News, a professional news gathering service. That's how it should be read and that's how it should be said. I also want to go to the next rung and meet your team, and the station manager and the director and the anchors, and start developing my own personal relationships. I'd like to start meeting them this morning. You'll take me around, you'll introduce me as the owner and president of Video Production News, and remind them of some of my many other stories.
Next movie on the
I'm not done. I also want to stop our discussion over prices. This will save time. So when I say that a particular number is my lowest price, that's my lowest price. And you can be assured that I arrived at whatever that number is very carefully. Now, when I say that I want these things, I mean that I want them.
Okay.
And I don't want to have to...
The Grand Budapest Hotel. I'm not the biggest fan of Wes Anderson. I enjoyed Moonrise Kingdom and Rushmore quite a bit, but I find most of his movies incredibly repetitive and annoying. His style works for certain kinds of movies, and I'm not saying that the rest of his films are just flat out bad. I'd consider most of his work decent, but all his movies have the same color palette, the same cast, the same shot composition and framing, the same characters delivering their dialogue in monotone. I just get sick of it. However, I would consider this film pretty fantastic. His style fits the story and the time period the movie's set in. It's shot as if it were a movie from that time. The changing aspect ratios, the bad special effects, and the framing don't just serve to annoy me. He establishes the setting and the tone in a way that I haven't seen successfully done in any other movie. Another thing that puts this movie above every other Wes Anderson movie is the great performance by Ralph Fiennes. He's just incredible in this. He's one of the most interesting characters of the year, and he probably gave the best male performance of the year. It's a very entertaining movie until the bittersweet ending, which I actually found to be one of the most powerful endings to a movie I've seen in a while. It wasn't like I was crying or anything, but the film made me feel exactly how it wanted me to feel. And no, it didn't end with another slow motion shot. Thank you for not ending this movie the same way you end all of your other movies, Wes Anderson. To quote Eric Levitz, it's a lighthearted movie because that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's an escape from reality, which is something I desperately need sometimes. Wes Anderson takes us to a different time, a different place where everything was seemingly bright and colorful and innocent, but maybe it's a time that never really existed. I've kind of gone over this movie at length. You can click here to see my analysis of this brilliant film. There's also a link in the description. Isn't that convenient? Aren't I so considerate? You could just type under the skin analysis into the YouTube search bar and it would come up, but no. Why would you want to waste 2 seconds of your fucking life searching for my video when I could just give you the link? Anyway, this is a very well-made movie. It isn't for everyone, but if you're the kind of person who likes weird and abstract movies, then this is perfect for you. Scarlett Johansson is very good in it, and the music by Mika Levi, or Micah Levi, is my second favorite soundtrack of 2014, and I even used it in my short film, The High. Click here to watch my short movie, The High. There's also a link in the description. You could just type The High short film into the YouTube search bar, but nah. Why would you want to waste your precious time supporting someone who produces content for you for free? Whiplash. This is one of the most intense films I've ever seen. There are some days where I think this is the second best movie of the year and not the third. But as of now, this is not the case. That being said, this movie's very well acted, very well written, very well directed, and it has a fantastic score. The constant drumming along with some of the droning humming sounds keep your heart pumping the whole time. And as someone who understands music, the soundtrack matches up with the musicians perfectly. Whenever someone's playing an instrument in the movie, it's always in sync with the music added in post-production. Well, okay, not always, but it never took me out of the movie. The film is basically about pushing yourself to be great and what you're willing to put yourself through to achieve your goals. Andrew clearly has talent and ambition, but his friends and family don't see his drumming as anything more than a hobby.
Charlie Parker didn't know anybody until Joe Jonas threw a cymbal at his head.
So that's your idea of success, huh?
I think being the greatest musician of the 20th century is anybody's idea of success.
Dying broke and drunk and full of heroin at the age of 34 is not exactly my idea of success.
I'd rather die drunk, broke at 34 and have people at a dinner table talk about me than live to be rich and sober at 90 and nobody remember who I was.
Ah, but your friends will remember you. That's the point.
None of us were friends with Charlie Parker. That's the point.
Who wants dessert?
No one really appreciates him, but rather passively accepts him, and this makes him want to try harder so he can finally impress them. He also seeks the approval of his teacher, played by J.K. Simmons, who is incredibly hard to please.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1,
Rushing or dragging?
Rushing.
So you do know the difference.
Oh, my dear God. Are you one of those single-tier people?
You are a worthless pansy ass who is now weeping and slobbering all over my drum set like a 9-year-old girl. If you deliberately sabotage my band, I will fuck you like a pig. Or are you going to be on my fucking time?
Is that really the fastest you can play, you worthless, Jaime fuck?
This is one of the main themes of the movie, that negative reinforcement can sometimes be a good thing. His friends and family neglecting him and his teacher torturing him ultimately makes him into a better drummer. The only character who supports Andrew is his father, whose opinion doesn't really matter to him.
His opinion means a lot to you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Was this the teacher's plan all along, or was he just kind of an asshole? The movie leaves many things up to interpretation, which is another thing I like about it. While on the surface this movie's very straightforward and very simple, there's a lot more going on here. There's a lot you can dissect and interpret. Maybe what this film means to me is not what someone else sees at all. Some people can see his arc as a negative thing, some people can see his arc as a positive thing, like I do. You could say that his obsession with drumming destroyed his relationship with his girlfriend and his family, but I guess you could also say, fuck those people. It's really up to you. All I know is that no matter what you think this movie's about, it is very entertaining, and every person who's seen this movie loves it. There is not one person I know that has seen this movie that kind of likes it. Everyone loves it. It's so funny, so entertaining, and so well done. Gone Girl. Another fantastic David Fincher movie. I always appreciate a David Fincher movie. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to build tension. He knows how to work with actors. He knows how to make every line of dialogue, every shot, every scene as effective as possible. He uses a certain process of shooting and editing, which basically allows him to take as long as he wants to shoot. This not only allows for every shot to be detailed and beautiful, it also gives him more time to work with the actors so that they can understand exactly what they're supposed to be doing and understand their character. As a director myself, I can say that the most valuable resource a filmmaker can have is time. Technically, the film is perfect in almost every way. The acting, the editing, the cinematography, and the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are incredible. This, along with this twisted, fucked up story, makes it my second favorite movie of the year. While it is very intense and fucked up, it also manages to be very funny, and parodies not only the media, but marriage and society as a whole. Amy is one of the most interesting characters I've seen in a long time. Since she was young, she grew up being inspiration for her parents' writing. This clearly had a psychological toll on her, and made her into a compulsive liar. I mean, maybe she gave the best performance of the year. I can't think of anyone else who was better than her this year. Not just in the female category, but just in general. I think that's all I really have to say about it. Great movie. Birdman. Dear God, where do I start with this movie? It's a rise and fall story. It's about the short attention span of the media. It's about art versus commercial trash. It's about our want to be loved and respected by everyone. It's about criticism. It parodies big-budget summer action superhero movies. It parodies snobbish, pretentious art. It's about letting go of our past.
20 years ago, I said no to Birdman 4.
The man fall! You do man fall! It's about becoming old and irrelevant. It's a father-daughter story. It's about resurrection. It has action. It has comedy. It has drama. Lots of drama! It has yelling and punching, screaming and punching. It also has punching. It has drumming. Lots of drumming! It has Michael Keaton playing a washed-up actor who played a superhero named Birdman, much like how Michael Keaton is a washed-up actor who used to play a superhero named Batman. It has Edward Norton playing an asshole, like in real life. The whole movie is one shot, or at least it looks like one shot. Seriously, it's impressive. It has a narrator with a badass voice.
Smells like balls.
It's about love. It's about loss. It's about being more focused on your cell phones than living your life. It's about being more focused on your art than your friends and family. It's about appearance versus reality. It's about popularity versus artistic integrity.
Sorry if I'm popular, Mike. You know,
I don't give a shit. Popularity is the slutty little cousin of prestige, my friend.
It's about everything. It's one of the most brilliant films I've seen in a long time. It tackles all these themes while managing to be entertaining the whole time. I never got bored or confused, despite this being a very weird movie, and despite it being about so much. I would love to say more about this movie, but there's just so much to talk about, and so much to admire, that I can't really dissect it in this short amount of time. I would love to analyze it at length one day, and I can't wait to watch this film again and again, just to see what I can find. Go see this movie. I wouldn't be that surprised if, after a few more viewings, it becomes one of my favorite movies of all time. Well, that's it. Those are the best movies of 2014. Here are some runner-ups, by the way. But you know what's going to be a great movie that's coming out in 2015? King Candy. My movie King Candy's coming out March 27th. Which means that I'll be working on that and not on any YouTube videos. I'm planning one Q&A in between now and March. So ask your questions now, mofos. The Q&A video will be up sometime in February. Thank you.